All right, so this is a rectangle. So remember, to find the area of a rectangle, it's either just length times width, or you could do base times height. They both mean the same thing. So what would be the length of this rectangle? 12. What's the width? 7. So all you're doing is 12 times 7. 84. What's the measurement? Yards squared. Do not forget. Some people have been forgetting to put it on the homework, and they are getting it wrong, or half wrong anyways. Okay, number 2. What shape is that? That would be a triangle. So remember, the formula is base times height divided by 2. So that's always going to be the formula. So what is the base of this triangle? 9. What's the height? So you're going to do 9 times 14. And then divide that by 2. 63 inches squared. All right, now we're going to start talking about composite figures. So composite figures are when you combine multiple different shapes together. So composite figures are figures made up of simple geometric shapes. So like this one here, we have a rectangle, a square, and a rectangle, and they just combined it together. All right, it's like they're using clay or Play-Doh or whatever, and they put all these shapes together. So this one was a rectangle and 2 triangles. And then this last one is just 6 triangles. Okay, so what we're doing is breaking them down to look for smaller, simpler geometric shapes, like triangles, like rectangles. Okay, those are easier shapes to work with when it comes to area, because they're easy formulas. So down here at the bottom, we're going to break these up into smaller shapes. So there's multiple different ways to do this. It does not matter which way you like, it's whatever's easiest for you, whatever you visualize. So if I'm looking at this is like a plus sign. I need to break this up into multiple shapes. So it's like you're going to cut them apart. So I would cut it right here. Because then in the middle, what shape do we have? That would be a rectangle. So in the middle is a rectangle. What are on the sides? Those are squares. So then what you would do to find the area is you would find the area of these 2 squares, find the area of the rectangle, and then combine them, add them, because it's one shape altogether after you cut it up. So that's a lot easier to find the area with 2 squares in this rectangle than trying to figure out for that plus sign. Okay, I know the next one's a trapezoid, but we're still just breaking it up to make it easier. So what I would do is I would cut this and this right here. Because in the middle, what do we have? Rectangle. And then what's on each side? Triangles. So those are a little bit easier to work with. Okay, once you have that, go ahead and go on to the next problem, or the next page. All right, so on the next page, that's what a composite figure is going to look like. So in this case, all right, we have this piece and then this long piece. I would cut this up right here to make it a little bit easier on yourself. Okay, now what they're wanting you to do is find this missing side and this missing side right there, just where it's highlighted. So to do that, what you're going to do is look across from it. So let's say we're trying to find this top part right here. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at the one across from it. So that whole thing down here is 10. Well, if we cut this off, this piece right here is 6. So how much would be left if we cut it away? 4 centimeters. So we're going to do the same thing on the next one. So on the side over here, we're going to look across from it. So this is the long one is 9. So if we cut this off and this was 2, what would be left?
5.
So if this whole thing is 9 and I cut 2 away, that would be 7 centimeters. So that's how you find the missing side lengths. Okay, you just got to look at the whole shape and break it down. All right, in the middle here, this just gives you step by step on how to solve the area. if you want to highlight this, mark it, whatever, this would be good for notes. Because the first step every time is to divide the figure into smaller shapes. Rectangle, square. So they went ahead and cut it off to where they have this big rectangle and they got a square. Then you find the area of each shape and then add them together at the end. So there's 3 steps to this. Break it up, find the area of each one, and then add them. So down at the bottom, they give you this example. Okay, so they went ahead and cut it to where they have a rectangle here and a triangle. So they found the area of the rectangle, they found the area of the triangle, and then they added them to find the total amount. All right, so let's go on to the 3rd page. We're going to do a couple of these together. So this first one here, number 1. All right, so this is just a composite figure where there's more than one shape combined together. So what I would do is I'm going to cut it right here. Make it easy on us. I'm going to cut that right there. All right, now you can redraw these to where you have one rectangle and you have a square. It's totally up to you because then you can label them. That way you know the length and the height, or the length and the width and all that. So in this case, this top piece here is 2 meters for that rectangle. The problem is we got to figure out how long it is. So how do we figure out how long this is? So if this piece right here is 2, this piece is 2, so it's going to be 4. Okay, so we got the rectangle figured out. Now we got to figure out the square. So this one is 2 meters. What would be the length? 2, because it's a square. All right, now we just got to find the area of the rectangle. So that's just length times width. So what's the length? What's the width? Okay, and then over here we're doing the same thing of the square. Length times width. So what's the length? What's the width? So 4 times 2, 8. 2 times 2. And now we just add them up to get 12 meters squared. So you're just breaking this up to make it easier shapes for you. So in this case, we just had a rectangle and a square. You find the area of each one, and then you add them together. All right, down here at the bottom, we're going to look at number 3 now. All right, so number 3, we have this arrow. So what I would do is I would cut it right here. That way you have a rectangle, and you also have a triangle. So now we have a rectangle and a triangle. So the rectangle, let's label this so we know our measurements. How long is that rectangle going to be? 20 yards. And how wide is it going to be? 12. All right, now we got to look at this triangle. So remember, with triangles, we got to know the height. How tall is this triangle? 12. This 12 right here is showing how tall it is. So the height is 12. Now we got to find the base. So these two right here are talking about part of the triangle. It's just an overhang. So we have 2 yards here, 2 yards here, but what about this middle piece? 12. So how long is it going to be all together? 16. All right, so now we got to find the area of each one. So area of the rectangle is just 12 times 20. And then the area of a triangle was base times height divided by 2. What was our base? What's our height? 12. So let's start with the 12 times 20.
240.
240. And then 16 times 12.
192.
Divided by 2.
96.
96. All right, so now we have 240 plus 96. 336 yards squared. So this is composite figures. So you just cut them up. If you need to redraw them, go ahead. If you don't want to redraw them, you don't have to. I was just showing you can. So what you guys are going to do right now is you guys are going to do number 2 and number 4 with a partner by yourself. Okay, so I'll give you a few minutes. Okay, so 9 times 8, 72, and then we're going to do 6 times 6, which is 36. And then we add those two together, 108 feet squared. All right, number 4. This one's kind of like a house. So I would cut it right here to where you have a rectangle and you have a triangle. So the rectangle is going to be 12 inches wide, 16 inches long. The triangle, okay, the 8 is referring to the height. Now, what would be the base? What? 12. So length times width for the rectangle. Then the triangle is base times height divided by 2. So we have 12 times 16. Or 192. What am I doing? 192. And then over here we're going to have 12 times 8 divided by 2. 48. So 192 plus 48. 240 inches squared. Alright, so that's how you find composite figures in their area. So all you gotta do is break them up and find the area of each piece. Now, on the back page, this is your homework. You have 4 problems, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Okay, another thing I wanted to mention, because I've been getting a lot of emails about the extra credit. Remember, you have to reach a score of 100 for you to get credit. You have to have a score of 100 on the extra credit IXLs. It has to be 100. Okay, you have the rest of the hour to work on these 4 problems. If you get done, I would work on anything missing because your grades are being updated. So those IXLs from last week and anything else. Okay, go ahead and get busy.